My hat! Hello and welcome. So I have my friend Rod's LaTrax here. This is the PreRunner. It's like a short course, 1/18 scale. These are pretty cool. I have two of my own. Convinced him to buy some, so he actually ended up buying two himself. This is one of his trucks. This one is getting the works. So here, if we remove this, it already has a TruTech system in here. So what my friend did is he just took a regular, just the TruTech, they're kind of long, but he just cut it to fit, and then this here just holds a LiPo battery. So you can use something like this in this LaTrax, and it fits right in. Because one of the problems with LaTrax and LiPos that you're going to run into is the size. But with this, you can just Velcro it right on and it holds it. I mean, that battery goes nowhere. So that's one of the upgrades this LaTrax has. The other upgrades that it's getting, it's going to get a pinion gear, which is 7592, and it's a 14-tooth pinion. And it's also going to get a spur gear, the 7591, and this is a 54 tooth spur. And we're going to go all bearings on this. So these come with bushings. We are going to install bearings on it. So again, Traxxas LaTrax 1/18 scale. And these are full sealed bearings by Fast Eddy Bearings. And we're going to begin with the gears. And then we're going to have to do some other mods at the same time. But in order to do the gears on these LaTrax, you have to remove this entire part, this entire area right here. So the important thing is to use the correct driver. If you try using something too big, like this Phillips number 2, you're not going to achieve anything. It won't even seat in. You could use a number 1, and you know it'll work. It'll seat, not too bad. But then once you get into this one over here, for example, you're going to have difficulty getting in there. So something else that you can do is you can go with something really small. But if you do something like this, see, there's too much play. It'll work, but you have to apply a good enough amount of pressure, sometimes even angle it a little, just so it doesn't strip the head of the screw. You can go with a Z, and this one will have play, but it grips better than the other one. All of these screwdrivers are Craftsman. You probably have other brands, that's fine. They work. This one here, I think, fits the best, and this is the Craftsman. It's the 8E. It's the same thing as the 8W. The 8W is just the stubby one. This one's the regular length. But other than that, we just have to remove these screws. And just make a note of where you removed them. The reason why is they are different lengths. So you don't want to accidentally put a short one where a long one goes and then try to put a long one where the short one goes. Especially doing that because, well, next thing you know, you end up driving the screw through something it wasn't supposed to be driven through. And that is never good. So right now, I'm just trying to get rid of this cover. Well, not get rid of it, I'm trying to remove it. These screws, to be honest, are not bad to remove. Sometimes you get these screws that feel really loose. Keep in mind that these PreRunners are RTRs, so they are ready to run. All of the ones we've purchased have come with a battery and a wall charger. The wall chargers are not any good, to be honest. We just use our regular chargers. Just regular chargers charge a lot faster. So if you have something like a high-tech, that's what I'm using. I can't remember what my buddy Rod is running or what charger he's using for his. But there's some other really good brands out there for chargers. But those, the nice thing is they will also condition your batteries if you're running nickel metal hydrate batteries, which is what something like this would come with. And that's what I'm running. And they work. The problem with the wall charger is it won't cycle the battery, it won't condition it. So you'll plug it in to the wall. First of all, it takes forever to charge. At least an hour. I can't remember. It's been so long. But then if the battery's not conditioned, as I keep saying, it will run for just a few seconds and then die. So the truck will die. And then you have to charge it again, and each time it'll last a little longer. Versus my high-tech charger, I just plug it in, it does what it needs to do, and then it's ready to go, and then I have 20-25 minute runtime on the stock battery. So far I've removed this screw here, the screw inside, this one over here, these two here. So I've removed a total of 5. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove these back here on the blue piece of plastic. So those are the next screws that I'm going to be removing. I should also remove these links here, the camber links, but I'll remove them after. Those are pretty easy to remove. The only thing that you're going to do is just grab some pliers and just twist, and they'll come right off. If you really wanted, you could get turnbuckles, but these here for just running about in the backyard, bashing with just a small little truck, they're good enough. Turnbuckles, I don't think they're really worth getting unless you were doing some really competitive racing, which I have never seen, real competitive racing with these trucks. It's generally just people having fun. Here we go. All right, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and remove these, and just going to use my regular pliers. Well, I guess they're not really regular, they're kind of small. What is regular? Maybe it's pliers that have eaten their prunes, that's why they're regular. All right, so here we go. There we go. Turn it into a little hover vehicle. I'm kidding. But here, I'm going to remove the shocks as well. Now, these shocks have also been turned upside down. So you'll notice the piston is actually down the bottom. This is where the body of the shock is. Right, so piston's here, and that is there. That's just so these caps don't fall off. That's the only purpose. All right, let's see, am I missing any screws? I am. There's 2 more screws in here inside. I'm going to remove those, and then this should lift up. Once that lifts up, you'll have access to your differential as well as your spur and pinion. So it'll just open everything up. So be careful once you lift it. You don't want to lose something or drop gears on the floor. The last thing the gears are really strong, but the last thing you want to do is damage a tooth. All right. So that one is, that's good. That screw will probably come out with everything else. All right, let's see. All right, so this one's here, and I'm actually just lining up the screws right here off to the side. So I have 3, 2, now these 2, and then the rear 2. That way I have them in order. I mean, you could grab a piece of cardboard, do a drawing, and then stick them in the cardboard. That works as well, but I don't need to because I have space here. If I were maybe going to come back in a few days and do this and work on something else, I would probably do that. I'd probably grab some cardboard. All right, and, oh, that's right, I need to remove the bumper. You can lift, and then everything comes out, but I'm not going to. So I'm just going to remove the rear 2 screws, and these hold the differential cover with this entire assembly onto the bumper. So I need to remove this. so that I can have access to it. And the nice thing about it is I'll have a good amount of space to work with considering how small this is. So the bumper just seats here. To be honest, those two screws, I didn't have to remove them. There it goes. See, that's how you lose stuff on camera. It's right here. Oh no, actually you did have to remove those. Let's see. Yes, you did have to remove those. Those hold this onto the bottom. So you had to remove all. Let's see, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 10, 11 screws. So it's a total of 11 screws that I had to remove. Now, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and remove this here. So this is the differential, and I'm just going to seat this right in here. And let me just do this. So the differential is pretty cool if you look at it here. And it's just grease. So if you apply different type of grease, you can control a little bit of the resistance in there, but I don't really know of any other way of doing it except for just using heavy black grease if you want a limited slip effect on there, well, to a point. But, I mean, you could, that's the only way, because these are not sealed differentials. Now, there's bearings already on that, so the bearings don't go there. Right now, our concern is getting this out. So what you have to do is you just lift here. That's all you have to do, lift. And then as you lift, this thing, so this here comes off. We'll put that here to the side. And now this should lift as well. There we go. So here is the actual gear cover. And that's it. Now you can pull the motor out. So you can pull the motor out and then just drop it in. But we're going to go ahead and pull this out because we have to change the pinion gear. And the spur, you have to remove this gear. This gear is just going to slip out. And when it slips out, there's a bearing that comes with it. And that gear is keyed. Let's see if you can, there we go. So you can see right in there. So there's no way of making a mistake once you're putting it in there. Now I'm going to remove this other bearing. So this other bearing can be a little tight. You can use a screwdriver to pry it out, but to be honest, you can just use your nails from your index fingers and pull it out. Now there is a pin. Let's see if you can see. See that little pin? You're going to have to push that out. Once you push that pin out, the spur will come out the front. So that being said, and actually a flathead would be perfect here. But you don't really need one. Then you just lift, and then this gear is just going to slide out. Place that over there. Give him back his original parts. And we have the spur here. So let me just do a quick size comparison. So there is quite a difference between the two. All right, now orientation. The part with the little castle section, that part, this goes toward the rear of the vehicle. The other part goes toward the front of the vehicle. So when I reinstall, just have to lift the shaft and slide this in all the way until, and then I want to turn it until I expose that hole where the pin goes, right in there. And then once I'm here, I'm just going to grab the pin, and I'm just going to use the pliers, and then I'm just going to set the pin inside. And once it is there, I'm just going to try to make it even, and then I'm going to grab the bearing. I'm going to slide the bearing over it. And that is it. So the spur is now replaced. At this point, I want to go ahead and replace the pinion. So the pinion, I'm going to be using a much larger pinion. This pinion over here, as I mentioned, is a 14 tooth. This one over here is a lot smaller. So let me just get a driver and remove the pinion. If you're also replacing the motor, these would be some of the same steps that you would do. All right, so we'll put our 9-tooth pinion over here. I have to give that back and we'll open up our 14 tooth. And the set screw is already inside, but I'm going to go ahead and remove it just to check if there's thread lock. It doesn't feel like it, and it does not look like there's thread lock. So use some type of thread lock. You can use whatever you have lying about. Or you could use Loctite, for example. Loctite makes a very good quality product. And we're going to go ahead and reintroduce this. And then once we do that, one of the things, just make sure the set screws here on this flat part of the motor. So it just goes in there. And one of the things that I did too is I actually drove the set screw just past that little hole so that as soon as I slide it on, it's actually gripping the shaft so I can spin it whatever way I need it to. And I'm just going to seat this on here because I want to gauge the distance. Let's see. All right, there we go. And let's move this forward. This looks like it's lined up. A little further back. You do not want to go too far forward because then you're going to be hitting the plastic on the tub. So I'm trying to leave space, and the pinion, the teeth are longer than the spur. So it's very easy to drive it too far forward. And there we go. All right. Now, as far as the mesh, I do not like the mesh that's there right now, so I am going to adjust it slightly. Give me a moment. Maybe I just need to put the cover. All right. So for this, let's go with the number 1. Nope. Let's go with the number 2. Number 2. Not much play. Maybe this doesn't adjust. One of the interesting things here, and I didn't do this, but I know my friend Rod is going to be watching this video, is don't remember this piece missing on any other vehicles. It almost looks as if this is broken. Well, maybe when I disassemble another one. This one appears to be missing a piece here. All right, well, here, let's see. I have to really loosen this thing up. Let me just take this off. All right, that's the only adjustment we're going to find here. let's see, so the lift, and this should slide in there and in there. Perfect. You know, maybe that's the way it goes. It only seats at the bottom. Could be. I mean, it's good. It just feels a little tight. There doesn't seem to be much adjustment in there, or any at all for that matter. Alright, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and put the bearing, so I have to lift the shaft a little and then drop the bearing so that it seats in that little pocket. Things giving me trouble. Alright, let's see. It seats here fine. Let's try it again. Oh, maybe it's that back one. Oh, there we go. It's a little too far back, so it was catching on the plastic. Here we go. So now this here, and there we go. There's the gear. All right, so at this point, we are good to go. And one of the things that I'm noticing is these are not bushings, these are gears. Sorry, bearings. Oh, no, these are bushings. All right. So I'm going to open this up. I actually have to go in and replace some of those. I'll show you the difference between them. So I have to undo this, but it's all right. And no, actually I'm inspecting these, and at first I was thinking, oh, maybe it's a weird type of bushing, so I'm going to have to tell them this thing comes with bearings. So let's go ahead and install this. And I'm looking inside of the hubs, and it has bearings as well. So we're not doing bearings. Just going to be doing this. So let's go ahead and put the gear in. And we'll put these bearings off to the side because I'm going to have to put them back in the bag. I mean, these do look much nicer. These are sealed bearings. So I'm not sure if he wants me to replace them or not. I guess I'll figure out later once I give this back to him. Alright, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and assemble everything. But we have to do everything in reverse order now. So whatever we took off first, we're installing last. Whatever we took off last, we're installing first. So we have to put the differential in. Now, one important thing is when you're putting the spur gear in, so you have the pinion, you want to put it on the correct side. If you cannot remember which one's the correct side, just spin the front wheels and then see which way. So I'm spinning them forward, and this is rotating to the right. so clockwise. That means that if I put this on the right side, it will spin it forward. So that is the correct side. So if you do take this apart and you forget, don't worry. Just spin the front wheels, it'll spin the pinion, and then just see which way the pinion is rotating. And that will indicate which way this should go. And then to reassemble your differential, it's very simple. So this long side, this is going to go on the left, since you now know this has to go on the right. So this will go like this. And the first thing you want to do is you want to seat this. The reason why is if you look in the gear, your differential gears are going to drop in here, not the other side. If you try doing it from the other side, they're not going to fit because it has these little slots in there where the pins on these differential gears go. So you're going to be dropping them right in here. And if you wanted to add different type of grease, this would be the time. I'm going to add just a little grease for them. But again, it's not a sealed differential, so it's not going to make much difference in the long run. It maybe the first couple passes, but that's about it. And I'm just going to apply just a little bit of good old black grease in here. And after that, this other part just goes on top. So as I'm installing it, I'm going to be spinning it slowly, slowly, and then you can see that this side also gets covered in grease as you spin it. But that is it. Now this is just ready to drop right in. So you go ahead, you drop it in. Something you can do is you can put your finger here on the bearing and then just try rolling the truck and see how it spins, and it's spinning the correct direction. So that's how you can also test it to make sure, check everything. After you do that, you want to make sure you press this back in, because this will want to lift when you go in reverse. But that's it. Now we can grab our assembly, and remember, the large blue part goes forward. The small blue part goes back, and that piece of plastic is going to go right above this. So you're just going to grab this, fit it in there, and then drop it in place, and that's it. So this is good to go. Oh, actually, we missed this little piece here. Thank you for letting me know. There's the groove. There we go. There's a little groove on the plastic. If you set it too far back, the bearing will hit it. It goes right there. Actually, there we go. Perfect. All right, so now I can start putting some screws in. Then I'll drop this in. This just mounts right in here. Right. Wait, hold on. Yep, this will go right in there. And you have to lift to this blue portion. So right now I'm just going to tighten everything in the rear. So I'm going to start with the further screws. I'm just going to set them inside. Very last screws. And I'm applying pressure here with my thumb just so that doesn't lift up. And I'm not going to tighten them all the way. Just getting them started. And then some. Alright. And then, so we have these. Now these are long enough. They will be able to just drop in and stay put versus those little short ones. And then these will go here. That's why I had them in order. And then these two will go here. These are long as well. And here we go. So now I'm going to start with this one. Then I'm going to go over here. And I'm not driving them all the way in yet. Then I'm going to jump over here. And again, I do like tightening things by hand, especially something like this with such small screws. Power tools, there are a lot of people that are very good with power tools. They have power tools with a very low torque setting, so they can just torque these down slowly, and then it'll get to a point, and then the driver will just stop. Part of the assumption here is, a lot of people watching these videos are probably just starting to mod their vehicles. So you may or may not have those tools. If you do and you like them, go for it, use them. If you've used them before, please comment below. What tool do you use? Why do you like it? What features do you like about it? That would be great. And then, maybe some other people that want to invest in some tools may end up buying something similar. But for me, again, something like this, I'll do by hand on RCs. Right? It's not sheetrock. I won't do sheetrock by hand. The other thing too is make sure that you're always applying pressure. These things are so small. I mean, the last thing you want to do is strip one of the heads out. And just go snug lightly, because you really don't want to strip the plastic parts. That's always a pain if you strip them. Then you have to apply a little CA glue, a little hole, then go back in, tap it. It usually works. Alright, so this over here is good to go. I'm just going to finish assembling this. And there are bearings in here as well. So I'm going to have to let them know. At least I was able to swap out the gears. And these links just snap on. And it doesn't take that much force, to be honest. Or at least these don't. Next thing you know, you end up getting a LaTrax, and yours happens to be the one that takes Hulk to install them. So all I did to put this, I just lifted this, and then I just slid this inside, and that's it. So this goes in here. So it's a long screw, and the short one goes here at the end. And short one, I was just getting it started. Long one, I'm getting it started as well, and then some. And then the last one here on the far left. And the one on the far left, I'm going to go ahead and tighten. Again, lightly snug. And then this one here as well. All right, so there it is. And it seems to run. Go ahead and plug this in. Well, sounds good. So that's it. The installation is complete. One thing that I'm going to suggest is check your model to see if it comes with bearings or not. And one of the ways that you can do that is actually very, very simple. Once you open it up, and to be honest, most of Traxxas vehicles come with bearings. Once you have everything, just remove one of the wheels. .5 millimeter driver. So that's what you need. And you just have to remove the screw here from the hub. Back it out. They're actually pretty long. And that is it. So if you just do this and then you remove the hex, you'll be able to see there if it's a bushing or a bearing. If it's a bushing, I think Stampedes may come with bushings. Some of them may, or they used to. But they're just, they can be plastic or brass, so it'll look like a brass ring. That's what some bandits have, or sometimes it'll just be a white plastic bushing there. But these are bearings. So this here, we'll just replace the hex, put the wheel back on. So we have checked. It comes with bearings. So no need for bearings. Or to purchase new bearings, I should say. And that is it. So this will go here. One thing to note about these vehicles, if you are planning on making them go faster, you need to make sure you glue the tires onto the wheel. And the reason why is because these do not come glued. They're quick, they're fast, you can easily get 17 miles out of these things, miles per hour out of these things out of the box. But, yeah, these are not glued, so the tires will come off once you start going faster. So that's something to keep in mind. Other than that, this is set. We've replaced the gears and the pinion. Now we just have to test it and see how we do.